Today I have an SAT reading tip and trick for you that deals with shifting focus over the course of a passage. So to illustrate this tip and trick, I'm going to use questions 1 and question 32 from SAT Practice Test 5. So question 1 comes from a passage describing a young boy's dining experience as he reads a book and then awaits the entrance of his father, and then eventually his father comes into the restaurant and sits with him and dines. So over the course of the passage, the primary focus shifts from what? So the things I want to discuss when talking about the primary focus shifting within a passage is you want to make sure that you're maintaining the big picture. A lot of times you'll get caught up in something that's too narrow. For example, answer choice C in this case is too narrow. It talks about the physical setting of the scene, shifting to the different characters' personality traits, but the physical setting of the scene is never the primary focus. Okay, so in the beginning, the primary focus is not the physical setting of the scene. Now, do we describe the physical setting of the scene? Yes, but we would be focusing too narrow on that physical setting of the scene if we were going to pick C, and we would end up getting that one wrong. So we want to avoid focusing in too narrow on one part of the passage. When we're asked to talk about the primary focus shifting over the course of the whole passage, we want to make sure that we're looking at the big picture of the passage. And the big picture of the passage means we're not focusing in on one little detail. So we can go ahead and get rid of C. Now, another reason that a lot of people get questions like these wrong is they use incorrect relationships. So they read the passage and maybe they misunderstood something, or they skimmed the passage and ran out of time, and they end up picking an answer choice that has an incorrect relationship. Now, in this case, answer choice B has an incorrect relationship. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, on the science sections, it's more common that you'll have an incorrect relationship, and obviously in that case, you're not necessarily going to be shifting a focus necessarily as much, but you may be. So on the science section, the incorrect relationship may be between two different variables, but in this case, this was the literature passage, and in this case, the incorrect relationship is stating that Limey, who is the main character in this, he's the young boy, has an exchange between strangers. Okay, in this case, his exchange is between his father and him. Okay, so because he does know his father, this would be an incorrect relationship because it describes them as strangers, so B would be incorrect. Now, another common incorrect answer choice on shifting focus throughout the passage deals with something that is just off topic, unrelated, or incorrect. And that's what answer choice A is here. Answer choice A says that Limey's inner thoughts his inner thoughts to observations made by other characters. Here's what's wrong with this. There are no observations made by other characters, because the only characters that are really talking or making observations in this are Limey and partially his father. Okay, so any observations made by other characters, that's impossible because no other characters are making observations. So A would be incorrect because it's an incorrect it's just an incorrect statement. It's not related, it's off topic, and it's just not true. So it's not a reverse relationship, it's just not true. So A would be incorrect there. B is obviously going to be our correct answer then. It shifts from Limey's experience reading a book to descriptions of people in the restaurant. Right, that's the big picture focus on this passage. So when you're asked to talk about the primary focus shifting within a passage, make sure you look big picture. Don't focus in too narrow on one thing. Also make sure you have correct relationships, and make sure that you're avoiding saying something that's just factually incorrect. So that's one example of a question like that. Now, another example of a question where you're asked to talk about shifting focus throughout the passage that has kind of a different setup as far as the answer choices is question 32. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that one real quick as well when talking about shifting focus within a passage. So question 32 is different in that its wrong answer choices, they don't necessarily display the same characteristics that were in that question 1. So if we look at question 32, it talks about over the course of the passage, the main focus shifts from a discussion of an experiment and its results to what? So in this case, they're giving us the beginning, right? They're giving us what we're starting our passage with, our initial focus. And we're asked to finish with what our final focus is. So in this case, what I want to talk about is why you can't always use the general idea of finding one answer choice that's too narrow, one answer choice that has a reverse relationship, and one answer choice that's incorrect, because sometimes you'll have three that are just factually incorrect. So if you're stuck thinking in this box of I have to find a reverse relationship and I have to find one that's too narrow because both of those have to be there, you could get it wrong because they don't both have to be there. Now they can both be there as wrong answer choices, but they don't have to be. Now if we look at this, answer choice A, we have an explanation of the practical applications of the results. Now, we never provide an explanation of the practical applications of the results in this passage, right? And I'm not going to read the passage to you because that's going to take too long, but we never do that. That never occurs. So that would just be factually incorrect. Okay, that never is discussed in the passage. Therefore, that's just going to be automatically wrong. A is incorrect. Okay, there's no trick there as far as it being too narrow or it being a reverse relationship. It's just not in the passage. Now, if we look at B, a consideration of the questions prompted by the results, that's going to be our correct answer. I can quick show you those questions prompted by the results that we finish with. We see we have the questions. One question is whether the positive herding, I'll go ahead and highlight it, is whether the positive herding bias is specific to this site or true in general. Watts says, he points out the experiment. He talks about economics being a much stronger effect. He asks what explains the difference. So we're really imploring these questions after that. So B is going to be our correct answer there. Now I want to discuss C and D as well, show you why we can't always count on one answer being too narrow, one being reverse relationship, and one being off topic, because sometimes all three are just factually incorrect. So we have C, an analysis of the defects undermining the results. We never discuss defects that undermine the results. So once again, factually incorrect. Okay, so I hope that you're noticing that you can't just rely on picking out one answer choice that's too narrow, one answer choice that is maybe factually incorrect, and one that's reverse relationship, because sometimes you'll have three of one kind of incorrect answer. So you can have that as well. D, a conversation with a scientist who disputes the results. There is no conversation with a scientist who disputes the results. Once again, it's not even in the passage, it's just factually incorrect, right? It's just not in the passage. Okay, so answer choices A, C, and D were just not even in the passage. So answer choice there was going to be B. B is the correct answer there. So I hope that gives you a better understanding of looking at wrong answer choices, not necessarily getting too caught up in the idea of finding different types of wrong answer choices, because they can have the same type as being wrong, the wrong answer choice in three of the options. So hopefully that was helpful. If it was, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, make sure to have a great day.